Oh, still Bills, what's the deal, man? I'm back, man. It's raining. It's a chilly morning. Far cry from what it was yesterday. I ain't even gonna be able to run when I hit the gym tonight, man. That is the bane of my existence. Well, it ain't the bane of my existence. I love rainy days, but on days where I ain't got nothing to do, that's why I like my rainy days. But P game, man, let's get into this shit, man. I'm gonna talk about man, it's a big fight fight week this weekend, man. And one of those fights, Justice Huni versus Fabio Worley, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. I wanted the Fabio Worley versus Jarrell Miller fight. Jarrell Miller has a way of selling a fight, and I haven't heard anything about, what he was banging on Fabio Worley about. I haven't heard anything come to, surface about whether or not that dude real life made a diss song where he's talking Big Baby Killer and all that. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just, I don't know, man. But that dude usually don't get. I've never seen him that riled up in his emotions or some shit like that, man. So maybe there is some, clarity to what it is that he was saying. But the dude just keeps getting injured. It's always something. I'm like, God damn it. That's a fight that I really wanted. I really wanted that fight for him, man. I really wanted that fight for him. But I'm not mad at Justice Huni, man. Justice Huni and Fabio Worley, man, that's going to be a good fight, Brody. That's going to be a good fight, because where Justice Huni, makes up in technique and just, being tactful, Fabio Worley, where Justice Huni, Fabio Worley lacks in where Justice Huni, makes up for, and where Justice Huni lacks at, Fabio Worley makes up for. Like, Fabio Worley is a spiteful ass nigga, man. That's a spiteful nigga right there, man. Just the dude is, he doesn't have he doesn't have an amateur background, man. He doesn't, just a lot of these other fighters that he's been fighting does. And look at how that guy Frazier Clark, he put that dude to sleep in one fucking round, man. That dude is not to be played with. He's spiteful. He's a big puncher, bro. He's not, he ain't running from the, he's not running from no drama. He's running to the fire. You dig what I'm saying? Dude is like that. Dude is definitely like that. But there are definitely glaring deficiencies in this game that you just can't ignore, and those deficiencies are all areas that Justice Huni shines in. Maybe not shining, I won't say that too much, because he hasn't fought nobody. He hasn't fought anybody enough to say that, yeah, he shines in those areas. But he's a lot more proficient in those areas than Fabio Worley is, man. He's way better on his feet, and he doesn't. What he does, I like people who can, cut the angles. I like people who cut angles as opposed to just staying on the outside of the ring. But he also doesn't avoid fighting in the pocket neither, because I think that's where his footwork is best utilized at. You dig? His ability to cut those angles and force your opponent to reset, as opposed to just following you. You dig? It's a lot harder to reset, when you got a dude that, or not harder, but it's a lot more annoying and petulant to reset a fighter than just because they can't see. They don't have the footwork to spin out with you. So when you're spinning them and you're turning them and everything, it's that's a bigger irritant to deal with, as opposed to seeing them in front of you just taking half steps back or whatever, man. Even though both can be aggravating, angles in the pocket where this motherfucker is right here is at, and he's getting to the outside of your lead hand and you can't do nothing about it, and even though he's about to do it, there's nothing you can do about it. That is annoying in itself, man. That's really annoying, because you don't have the feet. Even though he's in a hittable range, you don't have the feet to keep up with him and reset with him, or even the dexterity to check, like what Jorge Linares did to Lomachenko when Lomachenko kept cutting those angles in the pocket. He just started throwing his backhand up to mute Lomachenko's offense, so he couldn't punch and capitalize off of the angles that he was creating, man. So I haven't seen too many people neutralize angles like that. I did see Darius Foljam do it with Beck the Bully, on Friday. I mean, I did see that from him, but a lot of times when fighters don't have that type of foot, that type of intellect in their feet, you dig, when fighters are cutting angles, it becomes a nuisance, man. And I don't know if he can do that, man. You dig? Fabio Worley is all, his feet are not good, and he doesn't have the best defense neither. He pulls straight back, and when he's fighting in the pocket, both of his hands are at his side. You dig? Prototypical, slugger, prototypical slugger, street slugger. You dig? That could get you in the world of trouble in front of somebody like a Justice Huni, but the difference is how spiteful he is, man. Fabio Wardley is a spiteful dude, and I think that is what makes this fight so compelling. He's spiteful. Spiteful ass nigga. He's a puncher. This dude ain't nothing to play with, man. So I'm like, at first I'm thinking to myself, man, I think I have to go with Justice Huni, just because of the extra dimensions that he has in his game. But sometimes that just doesn't, do it. Sometimes you just can't get away from an opponent's spitefulness. Sometimes, what my man doing? Sometimes you just can't get away from it. Sometimes their timing is a lot better than you thought it was. They're hitting a lot harder than I don't think that he's not going to expect Fabio Wardley to go in there and really put leather on him, but a lot of times you think, all right, cool, well, you got to find the target. And when that dude is finding the target, is even though he's hitting you up top, your legs is getting taken from you, it's wearing on your gas tank, because when you get hit, that shit is exhausting. Don't fuck with nobody say you ain't just getting hit to the body and you're losing your gas. Nah, man, nah. When you get hit anywhere, that shit is exhausting. So, Fabio Wardley might go in there, and he's been in with the better opposition as well. He's been in with the better opposition. He's been in with David Adelaide. He's been in with Frazier Clark. He was in there with, was it Jerry? Man, I can never remember this dude's name. The big brother from Brooklyn. Big brolic nigga from Brooklyn. I think he was in there. I always get it confused if it was him or if it was Frazier Clark in there with him. But I think it was Fabio Wardley who was in there with him. And he's just been in with the better opposition, man. Justice Huni was just in there with, what's that? Lorena. He was just in there with him, and I forget the other fighter that he was in there with. I don't think any of them dudes they're not Frazier, and they're not David Adelaide. So yeah, man, he's been in with the better opposition. I say all that to say that he's been in with the better opposition, and in a lot of cases, having that experience, because you can't buy experience. Having that experience of being in there with the sharper fighters and dispatching them the way that you dispatched them, that's the ace in the hole. That's definitely the ace in the hole, man. So I think that he's a little bit more progress in his career than Justice Huni at this particular time, man. So I don't know who I'm gonna go for, man. My eyes is telling me, man, Justice Huni is about to put on a masterclass with this dude. Because I think Justice Huni, Moses Itama, I don't know however you pronounce his name, Torres. I think these fighters are more. They bring more to the division than just power. You dig? It's foot speed, it's hand speed, it's dexterity, it's intellect in their feet. You dig? It's not just their fast feet; it's what they're able to do on their feet. And those fighters bring that shit. Those fighters bring that to a fight, man. And they're a little bit smaller heavyweights. I don't know if Justice Huni is really 6'4". I'm not so sure. I think early on they was touting Moses Itama as 6'4" or whatever, and he comes out, he's 6'2". He's 6'2", which is a great height. You dig? My son is supposed to be about 6'2". It's great height. You dig? But in this day and age, in this division, that's considered a small heavyweight. That's considered you're a short heavyweight or whatever, man. But with that, look at everything that they're able to do. Look at what Usyk is able to do at 6'3". 6'3" back in the day was like, yo, this is a colossal size human being. Yo, this is a big dude. It's a big dude. It didn't get too much bigger than that when Klitschko came on the scene, and even like when Lennox came on the scene, and then Klitschko came. It's like, damn, these are some big ass niggas, man. That wasn't the norm. That wasn't the norm. So Tony Tucker, that wasn't the norm. You dig? Tyrell Biggs was kind of like, all right, bro, this is getting ridiculous. These dudes is huge. There's always been tall heavyweights. There's always been tall heavyweights. There's always been, you know, I can't remember the Italian dude's name from like the 30s and like the 20s or whatever, man. I can't remember his name, but there's always been tall heavyweights. I'm not saying there ain't never been no tall heavyweight, like, nah, but it's just the thing where it's just the average height in the division is like 6'5", 6'6", you know what I'm saying? That's what it's like, bro. All right, this is getting ridiculous. So that, I think that's more, you know, that's a newer thing, you dig, and fighting at the highest level. So I think that's a newer thing. That's a, you know, well, you know, yeah. But Itama, Huni, and Torres are bringing the, you know, the dimensions that they bring to the game because they're a lot more compact in size than all the other heavyweights. I think that shit is dope. I think that shit is dope, but they just got to go out and prove it. And I think Justice Huni has everything it takes to deal with Fabio Wardley. He just has to go out there and actually implement the game plan and put it to the test. You know, he has to do that. He definitely has to do that, and that's going to be a hard thing to do because Fabio Wardley, as the, you know, he's been in with the sharper opposition between the two of them. He's been in with the better opposition, and that's just something that can't be ignored, man. So I don't know who I have in this fight, man. I don't know, because that experience is definitely going to work in the benefit of Fabio Wardley, but Justice Huni has the feet, he has the defense, he has the, you know, I just think he has the better. He's just a better put together fighter. Every fighter ain't gonna be this immaculate, light on their feet, you know, calculated counter puncher. Every fighter ain't gonna be that, man. Some fighters is just gonna know, all right, cool, I'm limited in my ability. I can't be fast on my feet because it'll compromise my gas tank. And I just don't have the tools to, you know, I don't have fast hands. I'm not gonna be, you know, I'm not gonna move my, you know, my upper body like that. I just can't do it, man. I'm gonna make mistakes, but my IQ is gonna be what gets me through this fight. My durability is what's gonna get me through these fights. George Foreman. You look at George Foreman wasn't like, when you look at George Foreman, he didn't bring to a fight the shit that Ali did, the shit that Tyson did. He didn't. He was durable. And his IQ was, you know, his IQ was also there. He knew how to implement that defense. He knew how to implement that. He knew how to use that shit. And look at, he became one of the greatest heavyweights of all time and the oldest heavyweight champion in the history of the sport. That's due to IQ. But you know, I've seen, you know, George Foreman cut those slight angles, you know, those slight pivots in the pocket where he's hitting you in the blind spots. He was doing that early on in like the 70s. He wasn't doing it as he got older. When he made his, you know, his comeback, he wasn't doing that. Bro was just durable. Bro, and the dude punched like a fucking mule. So that's my point, man. Everybody ain't gonna, every big man is not gonna look like Justice Huni. I mean, shit, look at Navarrete down there at 130 pounds, bro. That dude ain't cutting no angles and do it. Like, bro, you would have looked at him and Oscar Valdez and said, yo, Oscar is about to violate this dude. Because he's just more put together of a fighter than Vaquero. And look at what happened. So sometimes that shit just don't work, man. I mean, Jose, you know, Ramirez and Amir Imam. Sometimes this shit just don't work like that, man. Sometimes it's somebody's grit and spitefulness and ingenuity, how to make something out of nothing work. It just gets you through your career. And this could be one of them cases for Fabio Wardley, man. Like I said, when you look at Fabio Wardley, you're not looking at a dude who you're like, yo, this dude is about to be the next heavyweight champion of the world. You would look at Justice Huni and say that before you would say that about Fabio Wardley. But sometimes a nigga just know how to make the best out of what he has. And Fabio Wardley thus far has made the best out of what he has. I don't think either of them have fought the cream of the crop. It's even Fabio. I don't think Fabio has fought the cream of the crop, but he's been in with better opposition than Justice Huni. And that might be what does the trick, man. That might be what does the trick. Just his experience. This ain't NBA 2K where you can go and buy XP. You can't do that. You dig? In life, you got to go through the bullshit. You got to go through the bullshit in order for you to learn from it. And he's been through more of the bullshit than Justice Huni has. So I want to say Justice Huni wins this fight, but I also want to say that Fabio Wardley, based on experience, is going to win this fight. So I don't know who's going to win this fight. All I know is I'm watching the fight, and it's going to be a balling ass fight. It's going to be a balling ass fight. You're not getting no boring fight with Fabio Wardley, and you're not about to get no boring fight with Justice Huni. Why? Because Justice Huni is a dude who's comfortable in the phone booth. He's found a home in the phone booth, man. You know, so I don't know who's gonna win this fight, Brody. I don't. I'm not even gonna pretend that I do. Like I said, my heart is telling me, you know, my eyes are telling me Justice Huni, but my heart is telling me Fabio Ward. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know, but I will be finding out on Saturday when they get in the ring and they line it up, man. So that's how I'm feeling about it, man. We got other fights to talk about that's coming up this weekend, and I'm gonna tap back in with y'all niggas when I get off the clockage and head back to the crib, man. So I'll get with y'all later. Y'all stay righteous. Deuces.